Hey guys, and welcome to the Leftover Culture Update. You probably recognize my green screen's up. I've just finished filming something. I'll start with the updates though, like straight away. Resident Evil Gaiden was released, the review for that, as well as the Leftover Culture review effects video on how I did the effects for that episode. That was a bit different to how I've done the previous effects for the Zombie Revenge video because I used different software. I used a program called Fusion, free to download, really powerful, and it has pretty much the same functionality as After Effects, but it uses nodes instead of layers. So all the effects are applied, like you can see the workflow. So you'll have your video footage and then this effect gets applied, then this effect gets applied. It's not a layer of video that you apply effects to. So great piece of software to check out. I did the Leftover Culture review effects for Resident Evil Gaiden and the screen replacement using that software. So I was very happy to get that out. Also on the website, Dan's released yet again another Versus article. This time Gradius versus Trevor McFur and the Crescent Galaxy. It's a game that actually I brought up with him because I was interested in sort of like the East versus West. You know, the American shoot 'em up versus the Japanese shoot 'em up. There's obviously not much in the way of competition, but it was interesting seeing Dan's take on what makes Trevor McFur, what aspect of Trevor McFur shines above a game like Gradius. I thought I'd quickly add here, for me, it's the humour. I didn't get a single laugh out of Gradius. Trevor McFur is very wacky, but as far as Jaguar games go, it's a solid game. It's well worth picking up if you have the system. But for everyone else, it's one of the few games that works via emulator. So that article is up on the website, review's been released. The green screen is for something I'm working on called the Leftover Culture Show. I've mentioned a few times talking about a bigger project that I'm working on. It's the idea of taking the Leftover Culture review and putting it into more of a television format, so a bit more segmented, not a review of one game every episode, but it's not something that I want to do completely to replace the reviews, but it's a way for me to make, I guess, a bigger variety of video content. And it's something I've been experimenting with. I did the pilot episode, the Leftover Culture Review pilot has been done. It still needs a bit of polish, but I've been working on that since last September. And sharing it with a few friends, it just wasn't up to snuff. I realised as I was putting it all back together that I just bit off way more than I could chew for that particular show, that particular episode. There was multi-cameras, there was multi-microphones, as well as a full video game review, full toy review. There was a list, and then a few other things that I threw in between, and it was too long, it was too much. It was too hard for me to put together, and the effects that I ended up, because I used a green screen then as well, it didn't come together well. So I'm trying it again. I filmed it all today, but I'm hoping that a much shorter format, a bit more concise, a bit more direct, would be a great way to approach putting together a show like that. And I really hope to make it work in the future. I say that a lot. With these update videos, I was trying to do them every fortnight, but I missed the last one just because even these things have started to take a lot more time. They really look as good as the time you can put into them. So this one's going to be a super quick update video. Just because I had the green screen out, I've got a different camera on. You've probably noticed the pretty distinct drop in quality. This is... I used this camera for a few shots in the Leftover Culture show. So it was already out, it was already charged. I'm going to plug it in and take the footage off in a sec. But it's kind of interesting because this is the camera that I lusted after. Absolutely wanted to get. You know, I had the PDF brochures on my computer so I could flick through them at lunch. Yeah, this very similar to, at least, this camera is the one that I really wanted, you know, just... When did I finish uni? 6 years ago? 6 years ago, that I really was lusting after. Something compact that would give you the best possible quality at around the $1,000 range. cameras have changed so freaking much since I went to university. I ended up getting for about $1,500 or $2,000 the Sony HD 1000, which looks the part. The video quality was very similar to this, but it wasn't HD, so that was a big plus. It sort of started to... I'm going off on two different tangents here. Going back to the Leftover Culture show, I was going to say it's not unusual for me to completely scrap a video project just because I don't feel like it's working out. With my reviews, they can take sometimes, months and months because I get so far and then I decide, wait a minute, I'm not happy with the quality here. I really need to go back and redo it. I'll put some video footage up now of my Panzer Dragoon saga, as well as Resident Evil Gaiden. I filmed that back in October, I think, originally. And looking back, editing it, I just didn't like where it was going. I've got a review that I'm working on right now, actually. It's a Saturn game, so keep your eyes out for that. But that was actually finished edit. I was very close to finish editing all of it, and then I didn't like it. I went back and I refilmed the whole thing, except for the game box shots and stuff. But a lot of, like I said before, you really get out what you put in. If you don't put in the time and the effort, or you release something that you're not happy with because you've already worked on it, you may as well release it and see what people think. By all means, it's a choice you could make, but I find with my show, people really seem to appreciate when you put in that extra effort, and it's all just for my benefit, really. At the end of the day, it's just something that I can be happy with myself and something that I can show people and be proud of. So why not do the very best I can every time? And like I said with the Leftover Culture show, I've started in September. It's taken me months to get it all together, to do all the effects, to get all the game footage, to play all the games, to literally put this whole thing together just to say it wasn't working. I'm not sure if I'm going to release segments of it individually or if I'll release the whole thing unlisted and just have it available for people to watch if they're interested, but I'm not sure what to do with it yet. I've already moved on to the next thing. And I've normally got 3 or 4 different video projects, different reviews at least, going at the same time just to make sure that if I'm getting stuck or I feel like I need to reschedule, like I need more time to work on it or I need time to refilm it, I can do something else, get that ready to release it, and then go back and work on that first video again. I was watching the Punk Effect podcast, completely unnecessary podcast with Pat the NES Punk, and he estimated about 40 hours per a review of his, which that's starting to make a lot of sense. I was saying the other day it takes me about 20, about 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours to do all the filming, all the setup, all the pack down, moving all the footage onto computers and sorting it all out. In that regard, and then about another 12 to 15 to edit the whole thing together and apply the polish and do the music or the audio mixing. Luckily, I've got someone who does all the music for the show now, so that's been a massive time saver for me personally, because that was always the part that got rushed. But it does take a massive chunk of time, and I'm not taking into account the time it takes me to play the games or write the reviews, because they're two things that I have a real hard time factoring. Sometimes it takes me weeks, months, even over a year to write and then review my writing and then rewrite and then start again and then start filming and then rewrite again because I don't like it. I think I've had scripts, I still do have scripts that I've been working on over a year ago, or it takes me a couple of weeks, or it takes me... Probably the quickest possible is a week or 2 working on it on and off, 5-6 hours. So the show does take a really long time to put together. The Leftover Culture show is a big project in the terms of, you know, the type of videos that I try and tackle. A single review is a lot quicker to put together for me, especially something like Resident Evil Gaiden. The gameplay didn't take too long to get, the filming and the pickups were relatively quick, and even the effects I used, the screen replacement, was very easy to do. So that was a very quick review, but even then a lot of the time I decide that I need to go back and fix something up or redo something, such as with all the filming for that review. So I guess New Year's resolution is just do it better the first time. So, the second tangent was about the camera. The camera that I lusted over in university has come a really long way. When I first started the show, I started filming with my Sony Nex Micro Four Thirds camera. I bought this mostly for corporate functions. I do a lot of web video for a software company, and I needed something that would film well in low light for presentations and events and stuff like that, and summits. I also wanted something that could take decent pictures, but I think the biggest criteria was a good camera, something that could give me close to, if not pretty much on par with DSLR quality, but at the same time give me easier files to work with, as well as have the right size that I'd take out and use it every day. When I recommend cameras, especially for something like a web series, I'm always saying just buy a camera that you'll use every day. There's no point for me buying a big bulky DSLR and not taking it with me everywhere I go because my bag's too big or it's too awkward to get out. This thing actually comes with a smaller lens that you can plug on the front, so it fits mostly. It is the same size as a point and shoot if I need it to be, or I can put on a slightly bigger lens. And this is pretty much, this is the camera that I started shooting the Leftover Culture review with. And then I upgraded. So this is the camera that I use now. My A camera, as it were. Sony Nex VG20. So I do get people asking what sort of equipment do I use. I use Nex cameras. And I just got this because I already use the Sony Nex every day. And this gives a very similar picture quality. All the lenses here are interchangeable. So actually I use this big lens a lot of the time just on my small camera, especially for those corporate events where you want to take a really good picture. And this has a much better zoom. So it's been a great camera, very similar picture quality, very similar bit rates and all that stuff that's important, but this gives you a lot more control over the picture. I say bit rates are important because I edit a lot on my laptop, so I couldn't take a really big file size. I just don't have the space or the processing power to do the bulk of my editing then, if that were the case. So Sony Nex VG20, I got it because it works very well with the camera system that I already dedicated myself to pretty much when I got this. So yeah, my advice for a web series, or pretty much anyone looking to upgrade camera, is just buy something that you're going to use. Don't spend thousands of dollars on a DSLR unless you're going to use it. I should also say that a camera, probably on a scale of priority, would come after lighting and a good microphone. I use a Sennheiser MKE 300 for a lot of my recording because it's easy to use. It was $300 at the time. You can probably get them a lot cheaper. Microphone technology doesn't seem to be quite as fickle as camera technology. But absolutely, that's what I use for the show. I want to say thanks for all the suggestions I got when I was talking about my LED lights. There were some people who, was it the Retro Bros or the Cartridge Bros? I think it was the Retro Bros. They were talking about eBay, $50. You can get 2 stand-up sort of soft lights. So continuous lighting, plugs into a wall instead of a battery pack, and they're much bigger and a lot softer. So you can get a much more natural look through them. Obviously for my show the LEDs are smaller, more compact, and I have the different coloured filters, so I've got like the reds and the blues. And that works well for my show and what I'm doing. But if you want to get a really crisp, natural light, those soft boxes are a great option, and they'd be cheaper than buying 2 LED lights separately. So really appreciate the suggestions there, and hopefully we can keep answering the big questions, because I do enjoy talking about production, obviously, and actually producing stuff, but also hearing what other people are using, what other people are doing, and getting suggestions like that, because those big soft lights are on my watch list now. I'm just worried about where I'd put them if I ever bought them. But I guess with the green screen up, it would nearly make sense to talk about that at the moment too, because the soft lights would be great at setting up a good key. If I don't have any, keep your eyes peeled for the Leftover Culture show, because that'll be using all green screen. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry for the late update video, and hopefully we kept this shorter than 22 minutes, because that was my goal. Maybe that's the key. An easy to achieve goal for each Leftover Culture update, and they'll just keep getting better and better. Alright guys, thank you so much.